Who did Margaery Tyrell really love in Game of Thrones? Margaery Tyrell was a social climbing, alliance-shifting, tween-seducing, smirking queen, portrayed brilliantly by Natalie Dormer in the beloved show, Game of Thrones. She was unfortunate enough to marry two kings and then see them die. On both occasions, she wiped away her tears and soon found another future king to wed. She had the capacity to outlive her spouses, much like a cockroach. Margaery battled until the very end because she was the only one who worried when Cersei failed to appear in court. She had arranged for Loras to receive leniency with the High Sparrow, and she would have fled if she had been able. However, even the astute Margaery Tyrell was unable to outsmart Wildfire. She personified the mercenary self-interest and vicious ambition that defined Game of Thrones. But she also seemed, in some way, kinder than her peers, serving as an example of how everyone is driven to their lowest point by the harsh moral world of the show. Because the Tyrells, Margaery's family, backed Renly Baratheon's claim to the Iron Throne during the War of the Five Kings, Margaery first married him. Loras Tyrell was the youngest of her brothers and, in secret, Renly's lover. Their marriage not only cemented their friendship but also provided a facade for the men's intimacy because homosexuality was frowned upon in Westeros. Since Renly Baratheon never held the real throne, he was merely a self-proclaimed king in theory. Margaery knew about Renly and Loras' relationship. It's not so clear in the books, but Margaery and Loras were close. Either way, the marriage is a pretty good cover. Renly Baratheon was a gay man and loved her brother and not her. So why should she? She may have been genuinely fond of him and was probably the most satisfied with him being king, but she didn't love him. Plus, she didn't look too saddened when he was killed. The Tyrells refused to back Stannis Baratheon after Renly Baratheon was killed, murdered by a shadow bearing his brother's face, leaving them vulnerable to a potential alliance with the Lannisters. Once more, marriage was the best way to make things official, this time to the reigning king, Joffrey Baratheon. The Tyrells claim that Margaery Tyrell and Renly never married because Renly had no sexual attraction and passed away a few days after the wedding. Nevertheless, the Lannisters had no grounds for complaint given that Margaery was the only daughter of Lord Tyrell and that Joffrey's lineage was questioned. Thus, Margaery and Joffrey were wed. Even though Joffrey was as evil as it could get, there were moments where he showed his soft spot for Margaery. If Joffrey lived longer after their wedding, we could have seen the most powerful couple there to exist. It is obvious that the marriage was never consummated because the outcome of that relationship was the Purple Marriage. However, this also meant that the alliance was not fully forged because the Tyrells would not back the monarchy if Margaery's future offspring weren't the first to inherit the throne. The younger brother of Joffrey Baratheon, who inherited the throne, was to inherit the marriage as well, but this would stretch the boundaries of what was allowed given their age difference, because she was 16 to 17 and he was 8 to 9 years old. It was shown Margaery Tyrell felt the greatest attachment for Tommen Baratheon because he was a loving, kind, and sweet youngster. Although she may seem to be attracted to Renly and Joffrey, I think she really cared about Tommen and wanted him to be content. Whenever Margaery used manipulation, she always came up with plans that would make Tommen happy and benefit everyone. Not just herself and her family. Margaery was the only child of Lord Paramount, and she carried the wealth and influence of her family with her, even though her attractive appearance made others want to ignore any problems. It's all just politics to her and she made sure that her heart wouldn't get broken and get in the way. That's why she would have been the perfect queen to rule and play the Game of Thrones. The only people Margaery Tyrell truly loved were her family. She had close relationships with all of them and did everything she could to keep them safe. So, her first marriage to Renly Baratheon, that was just a strategic alliance. One that Margaery embraced despite knowing her husband's true affections lay with her brother, Loras. So she never loved her, nor does Renly Baratheon. Second time Margaery Tyrell married Joffrey Baratheon to secure a powerful alliance between House Tyrell and House Lannister, strengthening her family's position in Westeros. The marriage elevated her status to that of queen, bringing her closer to the Iron Throne. Joffrey was cruel and a stone-hearted person, but if he would have lived, they both would have loved each other. Third time when Margaery married to Tommen Baratheon, besides their age difference, their relationship was marked by genuine affection and manipulation. Margaery, much older and more politically savvy, used her charm to influence the young and impressionable Tommen, ensuring her family's power. While on the other hand, Tommen, kind-hearted and naive, deeply cared for Margaery and sought her approval. Their marriage also brought stability to the realm for a short period of time. The act of killing himself after the death of Margaery Tyrell in Wildfire also shows that Tommen loved her the most. Margaery Tyrell should have ruled because she combined political savvy with a kind heart, a rarity in Westeros. She used her influence not just for personal gain but to genuinely help others, such as advocating for the poor and arranging leniency for her brother Loras. Her charm and compassion won her the love and loyalty of the people, indicating she could unite the realm. Margaery's diplomatic skills and genuine concern for the well-being of others would have made her a just and beloved ruler. Her reign could have brought a much-needed balance of strength and empathy to the Iron Throne. In the end, Margaery Tyrell's legacy is one of resilience, cunning, and the tragic downfall of a queen who dared to dream of a better world.